been there for a while. A little bit of my story I'll get in when I do more talk, right? But the topic of the story, the underlying topic is the story is still being written, right? And I think that's an important thing for everybody to understand, that your story is still being written. No matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter who you may have disappointed. And I say, let's start with this, right? Who's here has written a book or know somebody has written a book? No doubt, okay. How do you start off with writing a book? Setting the outline, right? And then once you got the outline, what do you do next? It's good. It's common. It's just you don't think about it. Huh? Rough draft. Come on, brainstorm, rough draft. And the way that you start with that is you write your first sentence. You write your first sentence. When people ask me, how did you write a book when you first got out of prison? I was like, bro, I started with the first sentence. Then after you write your first sentence, what do you got now? You write a few of those, you got a paragraph. Write a few paragraphs, you got a page. Putting the pages together, you get what? A chapter. And after enough chapters, then what happens? You got the book. Come on, talk to me. Come on, sis. You got the book. Some of us are in different chapters in our book. We're all writing the book of life. Some of us are different chapters, depending on the age. We got the young G's right here. They ain't even got their whole chapter written out yet. We got other gentlemen that are in a couple chapters in. We got other gentlemen with one chapter, right? Depending on where you are. But the beautiful thing about it is, as long as you're breathing, you still got the pen in your hand. Let me explain to you why I say that. First chapter of my life. My dad was murdered. My mom was pregnant. She seen him dead. Out in Texas. We talked about that. She came out here. She flew me out with my grandmother into the Yes Church projects. My mom had a mental breakdown. She left. She left me and my older brother. At some point, she came back, grabbed him, took him to Texas to her other family. So it's me and my grandmother, right? By the age of 10 years old, I was running from the police in downtown Seattle selling fake crack. By the age of 12, I had already jumped off the block and I'm gangbanging. At 13 years old, I caught my first shooting charge. Now I'm a juvenile facing all this time. God blessed me because grandma loved me and kept coming back to get me. Right? At 14 years old, my grandma went to prison. My grandma went to prison for something that she had did a long time ago and ran away. And she devoted a portion of her life, changed her life for a minute, to raise me up to that point and was taken back to prison. That left me at that pivotal point. Some of you young men right now, some of you young ladies right now are at a pivotal point. I say the pivotal point between the ages of 13 and 17. The reason why is because you're about to go to high school and all these new options are coming. Well, at that point, I didn't have no guidance in my pivotal point. What I did was I went straight to the streets. I went head first. My grandma's going, that's all I felt ever cared about me. That was my only family in my mind. So the streets turned into my family. These are my brothers. These are my sisters. The pimps, the players, the murderers, the killers, all that stuff. Those are my family. That's the first chapter. Gangbang, in and out of juvenile. Getting in trouble. I had my little daughter. Right before when I got out of juvenile prison, right? Then I move forward. I graduate. I go to jail now. Go to prison the first time. My daughter's born. Her mom's trying to keep up with me. I'm trying to keep up with the hood. Going crazy. Next time. At 22 years old, I go to a bar, get into a fight with rival gang members, leave the bar, open fire, find myself facing the rest of my life in prison. My daughter came to visit me one day.
I got a couple of single mother friends that went screaming about abuse. So.
See how you playing tactics, bounce counts. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. But that's my baby, man. But she came to visit me. She was 3 years old. And she says, Dad, when are you coming home? Mind you, I face a life sentence. 8 attempted murders, drive-by. she said, well, is it Sunday? I said, no. She said, Monday? I said, no. She said, Tuesday? I said, no. She kept going all the way until Sunday again. I said, baby, I don't know when I'm going to come home. But I promise you, I'm going to find my way home. This is the crazy part. This is what brought me at this point. This is what this little girl asked me, right? Because mind you, she had already been to do this thing. She visited me in prison last time I went when I was 19 years old. This is what she said. She said, Dad, you've been in jail before, right? She's like, well, what makes you think you come home? You're not going to go back. At 3 years old, and that broke me. I can't tell you how many tears I shed when I went back to that cell. But it was at that point where I told myself, okay, look, something's not working. You got to change. I don't know how to change. It doesn't matter. See, the thing about it is that how don't matter when your wire's strong enough. When your wire's strong enough, that how don't matter. I knew at that point I had to get home to my baby. Oh, yeah, not to mention, I had a son on the way. When I caught that case. So at that point, I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, man. What are we going to do here?
You too.
How are we going to change this? Don't forget how. Why are we going to change this? Let's build off of that. Then I made the most risky decision I made in my life. I called my public defender that I can tell him to care about me. Fire him. I said, bro, you're fired. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm taking this case on. He said, why would you do that? I said, because nobody cared about my life like I care about my life. And I'm going to get this back. I went in front of the judge. The judge was like, do you know what you're doing? You're crazy. I said, yeah, and I may be crazy. Look at my life. But watch this, though. I ain't never been in trial. I was in special ed the whole time of youth. I ain't even stayed in school since first grade for a whole year. I ain't read a book in many years. But my why was strong enough. And I understood that the story was still being written at that point. I went and studied. I started looking at the law library. I started picking up books. I started reading books on law, John Grisham books, all kinds of stuff. I took older gentlemen. There was my mentors in there. I used to practice on them. I used to have people come back, show me their things. And I went inside that courtroom, and the prosecutor, the lawyer came to me and was like, my public defender that was standing on the side, he was like, man, look, you don't got to stop right now. I mean, he said, you let me do it. You can come back around, man. Don't do it. This is what I told him, though. I said, what was the deal you guys gave me? He said, 25 years. I said, that ain't changed yet, right? He was like, nah, man, it ain't changing. You know that. I said, well, that's all I like to me. I'm going to go ahead and do this. With the prosecutor laughing at me, with everybody else around me laughing at me, all kind of stuff going on, I went in there and I did that. When it was all done, those attempted murders was off my back. The drive-by shooting was off my back. They was like, nah, there ain't no way he did that. It's okay. From opening to closing, I represented myself. I beat those. The gun charge I took, I had to eat that. So at that point in time, I said, man, if I could do this, if I could go in here and never go to trial being a special ed student, being called a monster, being called a throwaway, because I was at the group homes before, being called all kind of different things. If I could do this, just by studying for a little bit, what else could I do? And that's where the mind switch came. So I took my time when I was incarcerated to start developing my characteristics, the different characteristic traits, changing my thought patterns, reflecting, trying to figure out what it was that had me making the decisions that I was making. What made me do that? And as I started growing, developing myself, I started meeting other young individuals that came in that was impacted in the same way. Then naturally started mentoring. At that point, from the time I was in there to the time I got out, I kept pushing forward. Through the hardest times, I kept pushing forward. Because I knew what happened. Not only did I have to get on to my baby girl, now I got to get on to my little man, but forget that. Now the responsibility of the whole hood's on my back now. Because if you have knowledge, it is now your responsibility to share that knowledge. Yes. This is where the third chapter started when I was released. So I get out, and I'm like, dang, okay, all that happened in there, that's cool. Now what am I going to do out here? You got to understand, I've been in juvenile multiple times. I've been in juvenile prison. I've been to prison before. So what am I going to do now that's going to make a difference? I decided what I'm going to do is everything different than what I did before. I got out, I wasn't going right to the hood like this. Every time I get out, I go back to the hood, throw it up with the homies to the hood. Nah, we ain't doing that. We going home. I used to go buy all kind of bottles. We want to go party and pop with everybody. Let's go do that. We ain't gonna do that. Nah, I'm gonna make connections with community resources. I used to go back and drop a script. I could go meet up all the homies. Nah, I went back and drew up my goal plan, my vision. You see what I noticed at that point was my life wasn't over. For so long, and it's crazy because for so long I didn't think that I had any control of what I was doing. I didn't think that I could control the outcome of my situation. I didn't even realize I had a choice in all that. But see, the beautiful thing is, tying back into what we started in the beginning, no matter what, the story is still being written. If you let your parents down in some kind of way, the story is still being written. If you've committed crimes in any kind of way, the story is still being written. If you've been put in some kind of pain, if you feel like it's a traumatic event that you can never come back from, the story is still being written. As long as you breathe and as long as your heart is beating and that pen is in your hand, the story is still being written. You can change the ending. You may not be able to change the beginning, but you can change the ending. Because at the end of the day, like I said to you, not too long ago, I was a throwaway. I was a monster. I was a gangbanger. I was a hustler. I was doing this. I was doing that. I was nothing to nobody. But as soon as I decided that my story was still being written, I decided to change that ending, it all changed. I just want to leave you guys with this. You may not be able to change your destination overnight, but you can always start by changing your direction right now.
Yes.
Much love. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Hey, this is